Drops of water ink through the air. They come together and change properties, changing from malleable liquid to rigid steel. Feia can see and feel the specific changes in the elements around her. Even if this bitchy dragon thought she could overtake the area, Thalius is still very much Feia's domain, and in here, she's queen. The dragoness swings her sword at Feia, who manages to avoid it with a well-timed backflip. Once Feia's airborne, she throws out her arms and shoots a number of feathers from her collar at her opponent. Rain comes together, forming a wall that catches Feia's feathers. Dumbass. Grinning, Feia channels divinity through the feathers, causing them to detonate. Her little grenades blow that wall away and leave the terrain a cloudy mess. Unlike the dragon, Feia can see through her domain no matter the condition. Feia rushes into the black cloud, a dagger of feathers in her offhand. She pivots, thrusts, and stabs at the Otohime. Dumbass. Their weapons bounce off one another. How did she... Feia feels a droplet of rain hit her shoulder. Shit, that's right. She's an elemental, so it's a no-brainer that she can see and even feel through her water. Feia ducks, avoiding a slash aimed for her neck. Hoping to trip Otohime, Feia does a sweeping kick aimed for her leg. Otohime hops, then stomps. That long, sharp heel pierces Feia's ankle, pinning her in place. As much as she hates it, she ends up screaming and looking weak for her opponent. There's no time to be in pain, though, as Otohime is already swinging her sword down overhead. Feia flaps her arms, they become wings, and she tears herself away from Otohime. At first, Feia finds it hard to stand with one leg, but her feathers splay out, balancing her. They lock eyes. Otohime narrows hers, and Feia smirks. Yeah, that's right. She hates Feia like everyone hates Feia. That hatred works its way from Otohime to Feia and rejuvenates her. Feathers build up from Feia's stump and form a new leg.
You're healing faster than last time,
Otohime says, letting the rain add to the length of her blade.
You're angrier than last time?
Feia snaps back, bouncing on her fresh leg. Where others might try to keep up the banter, the dragoness just scowls and raises her hand. Clenching her fist causes the rain to fall harder than before, so hard that it splits the ground. Yup, here it comes, the bullet rain. Feia's expecting it this time, so she calls for the extra feathers in her domain. She leaves her grave markers as is, opting to use her surveillance feathers instead. A cloak of steely black overtakes Feia's shoulders. She thumbs the hood forward, but not so much that Otohime can't see the wide grin on her face. Bitch.
Bitch?
Feia calls out, feeling so damn smart. Shit like that won't work twice on Feia.
Shit like that doesn't work. Ugh.
Feia's words are cut short when liquid bullets burst from the ground beneath her. Several pierce her before she has time to spin out of the way. Panting, Feia glares at Otohime. Otohime chuckles.
the She, a formidable pantheon of warriors, a clan bred for battle, unmatched in pure fighting prowess. Their most exploitable flaw, however, is that arrogance they mistake for pride.
Otohime says things Feia already knows. Feia sees and feels Otohime clench her free hand into a fist. She feels it on the inside, in her shoulder, right bosom, stomach, and left thigh, all the places she'd been shot. Droplets of water build up inside of her. They get hot, searing with foreign divinity. Each droplet explodes, and Feia almost falls apart. A pulse from Feia's mind commands feathers to come together and reform her shattered limbs and open wounds, allowing her to catch herself.
You copied me. You're so cool.
Thank you.
I was being sarcastic.
Yes, I knew that.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
You bitch.
Feia charges Otohime, and while she's shielded from the downpour, she still has to deal with the water landmine soaked into the ground. All right, focus. Focus. There. Feia feels through her earth and can feel droplets carving through the ground on their way to the surface. Not much longer now. Feia pivots on her right leg and spins outward, just as several bullets pierce through the ground. It takes a hell of a lot of concentration, but thanks to Otohime's temper, Feia's far from exhausted. There's some distance between them, but Feia doesn't take it lightly when Otohime swings her sword. Yup, as predicted, Otohime's sword grows so long it almost nicks Feia, but she was ready. A small hop puts Feia atop Otohime's blade. Feia kicks off and flaps her wings, managing to close the gap in what she estimates was a second. Now that she's in Otohime's face, she launches another scattershot of feathers. Not every feather hits the mark, as they're grounded by the hardening rain. But those that do get by manage to pierce Otohime. Instead of ichor, water leaks from Otohime's wounds. Whatever. Fea still detonates the feathers, already knowing Otohime, like her, could regenerate after that attack. Fea lands in a puddle that was her opponent and watches as some of the rain halts and forms a new, unharmed Otohime.
How long are you going to keep this up?
She asks, whipping her bladeless hilt outwards, allowing the water to come together to make a new sheet of sharp metal.
I'll quit when you leave my domain. Swear fealty to me, or one of us dies. I'm up for any combination of the three if you are.
What makes this place so important to you?
I could ask you the same thing.
Normally, I would seek an alliance, offer my army, maybe an exchange of divinity, a transaction of goods, anything that helps the Pantheon stranded here while I inch toward my own goal. And maybe when I'm faced with an opposition I'm not quite strong enough to handle, those I've helped will want to help me.
Uh-huh.
Fea shifts her attention. She focuses. Slow.
Go on.
But you're an exception. You're a she, and while your people aren't inherently evil, they are whom the Morrigans spawned from. I doubt you're the same person, but you're certainly the same ilk as her. So it'd be remiss of me to leave you with any kind of divinity.
Anything else?
You're a child. I know that. I don't want to hurt you. This is your home. That's why you're protecting it so. You're too stubborn to admit it, as if looking sympathetic would get in the way of your ambitions, whatever they may be. Noble or not, you venture beyond this home and take others' domains. You're a conqueror. It's your type I detest most.
Why?
Would you care if I told you?
Nope. Just needed a distraction.
What?
Otohime looks up just as the sky above them is blotted out. A dark curtain of feathers flies overhead, working as a giant umbrella to keep the rain from getting through. It doesn't cover much distance, and it wasn't going to last long, which is why Fea puts everything into the next attack. Fea snaps to Otohime's position. Otohime's already melting into a puddle of water for a quick escape. Fea throws a punch. It's buried deep inside her, and once she finds it, she grabs on and yanks it to the surface. Hot. Hot enough to burn her. Hotter. Make it hotter so it grows beyond her. Searing so that the world knows how she feels. Bright bluish flames surround each of Fea's digits, burning from within her clenched fist. It's so hot Fea can feel her own skin melting away. She'll burn Otohime too. For good. Without even having to connect, so much of Otohime's watery mass sublimes into a steam that peters out above them. Can't do it. Won't do it. Because she sees them. All of them. Their faces. Hears them too. Their screams. All of Phalius is on fire again, and suddenly she's so small. Even smaller than she is now. There's nothing she can do to put out the fires. There's nothing she can do to save them. Any of them. So she collapses in on herself in a sad attempt to put out the embers inside. Dull, cooled, and no different than any time before, Fea's fist connects with Otohime's watery cheek. There's no give, so she fists right through into the cooling liquid that made up the dragoness. They lock eyes again. It's different this time. So different. Otohime looks concerned. Damn it. This is the longest second. Neither of them seems to care at that moment, so Fea breaks up her sheet of floating feathers, and Otohime just pulls away, allowing Fea to dislodge from her cheek.
What was that?
Nothing. Keep fighting.
It was so hot. Hotter than any fire I've ever felt. Hotter than any fire my own mother could produce. No dragon's flames are like that. What was that?
Fight me.
Fea shouts, hopping back and throwing several sharp feathers at Otohime. There's no effort made to dodge. Otohime stands there as the feathers pass through her body.
That would have burned past my water and straight through my divinity. I wouldn't have reformed. So why?
It's got nothing to do with you. It's this place. I won't do it here.
You haven't used it anywhere.
Orohime says, stepping towards Feia.
Otherwise Midgard would be yours. Are these dormant Morrigan abilities? Have you not fully come into your powers yet?
Shut up!
You're just a godling.
Orohime says, kneeling towards Feia, arms open.
You haven't even taken a life yet, have you?
Eyes wide, ichor boiling and feathers shuffling, Feia lurches back.
Don't touch me!
She shouts, shaking her domain.
I've killed. Plenty.
Feia points to the feathers stabbed into the ground.
Tombstones for those I've killed. Doesn't matter that I'm a godling. I'm Morgan. A monster. Whether I want to be or not.
As though she hadn't heard a word of what Feia had said, Orohime looks around. Her eyes search for answers that she won't find. Then, when she seems satisfied, she looks back over at Feia.
You're afraid. Afraid of what you're capable of. But rather than run away from what scares you, what you don't want to become, you're charging straight towards it. I call myself a liberator, but deep down I know I'll conquer anyone who turns down my offers because I need that power if I'm going to overthrow my enemy.
The sound of metal shaking catches Feia's attention, and she notices Orohime's hand trembling on her hilt.
You and I are like she. We will both become monsters because living any other way is somehow more painful. Unlike me, however, you won't have to suffer this metamorphosis.
What?
What?
Orohime points her sword.
I'll kill you so you won't have to hurt anyone else. This is the gift I give you.
What?
Feia shouts, but it's cut short as she ends up screaming in pain instead. Spikes of solid, sharpened water stab into her, angled to get around her armored feather cloak. Damn it, Feia feels like an idiot, because like Orohime, she's been lulled into hearing her opponent out. Now she's paying the price. Feia's skewered on what feels like 10 different spikes. So much of her ichor is mixing into the solid water. Do something. Think. Feia's form falls apart, becoming a cloud of feathers, but that seems to be what Orohime was counting on. Not only does she superheat and detonate her water spikes, the stray droplets from the explosion become needles that target and pierce each feather. Feia's consciousness does eventually find a bushel of feathers to take over, and when she reforms, she feels the pain from those last attacks overtaking her body. Ichor rockets from her mouth, nose, and eyes. She can't get to her knees, let alone her feet, and she's trembling and losing vision. Okay, so maybe she can't beat Orohime. Maybe she should have stayed at Skahaz long enough to ask for advice before rushing into a rematch. Yeah, looking back at it all makes Feia feel like a total jackass, but she's here now, so there's no getting out of it. Especially since Feia's gone and made the dragoness go all self-righteous on her ass. Well, it's kind of now or never. Feia's gonna have to turn the tables, and to do that, she's gonna have to do what she's best at, piss someone off. First, she spits up some ichor. Then, she runs a knuckle across her lips as she picks herself up. So what if she's trembling? Who cares that she's molting? She's gonna look that dragon bitch dead in the eyes and leer at her best she can.
You're willing to become the thing you hate for more power, huh?
Feia cackles, coughing up ichor in the process.
Your archenemy must be strong. He's got you terrified.
Fear isn't the issue, she.
Orohime says, rushing through the downpour. She's closing in, and Feia knows it, feels it, but that's fine because her feathers are shuffling. Means she's got her fangs in. Spinning, Feia avoids Orohime's slash, all while throwing her cloak up and over to block the steady stream of bullets that fall overhead.
So, your enemy got a name?
Feia doesn't care, but she knows Orohime does. A grunt and a glare tell Feia all she needs to know, but the sudden rush of energy isn't bad either. Orohime waves her arm, and rain bullets converge on Feia's position in rapid-fire succession. They're easy enough to dodge now that she's feeling better, and all because Orohime is feeling worse. Feia takes to the air, putting herself right up against all that rain. It isn't hurting her, though, thanks in part to the armor and to a series of small feathers intercepting the rain droplets before they can hit. That's right, Orohime wasn't the only one with pinpoint accurate control over her element.
It's easier to sympathize with it if the bad guy has a name. Keeps things simple for us godlings.
Otohime stomps, and pillars of water rupture forth from the damp ground. They almost skewer Fea, but she's able to break down and form by Otohime's side, no problem.
Come to think of it, in every story Grandpa used to tell me, the dragon was always the bad guy. So is there something you want to come clean about? How do I know you're not just after some old guy's treasure?
Shut up!
Otohime swings her sword hard.
Shut up!
Fea catches the blade in a grip fashioned from metallic feathers. Confident eyes greet cold eyes with a wink.
Even if I'm the villain, that doesn't make him the hero. He's a monster. The Jade Emperor will pay for what he did to the kami, to the yokai, to my father!
There it is. Fea feels it breeze through her feathers and tighten in her chest. Someone took Otohime's father from her as well. If Fea isn't so unlike Otohime, then what are the chances her enemies aren't unlike Fea's? Regardless, they're set on very different paths, especially now. Dying really isn't a part of Fea's MO, at least not until she's destroyed her enemies. Besides, Fea's not one for alliances, and she's sure Otohime wouldn't be willing to see eye to eye with her if she knew what Fea's ambitions entailed. So Fea musters up all the pain she's felt so she can be extra nasty in the next moment, even if she doesn't mean it.
The Jade Emperor, huh? Sounds badass.
Gold leaves the dragon's eyes, and the red Fea longed to see takes its place. Along with the red comes a fresh, rejuvenating feeling over Fea. Tattered cloth comes together, bent feathers straighten out, and cuts close. The downpour slows, so much so that all the droplets of rain just float around the girls. It takes a lot of focus and divinity to manipulate the weather within her domain, so Fea's gonna have to end things fast. Fea turns her palm up towards Otohime. Light blue aura coats each of her fingers. This same aura overtakes Otohime's form.
You're ejecting me from your domain?
Otohime says, skidding back. She looks at her hands. They're translucent, but not because she's become water.
That's right, toots.
It takes having more divinity than the target to impose one's will upon another within a domain. Otohime has more divinity than she does, and Fea's known this since they first met. But thanks to her anger empowerment, Fea can boost what little she has to a comparable state. So long as Otohime's blood boils, Fea's power grows. Otohime slides back while trying her best to keep her footing. Stabbing her katana into the ground as well as her heels might buy her some time, but not much. As the realization that she's about to lose to a godling conqueror sets in, she'll only grow angrier.
I thought you knew the way around my powers.
You don't want to do this. If you continue to live, you'll only bring ruin to the world.
I know. In case we meet again, the key to bypassing my power is hating yourself more than anything. So long as you're your own worst enemy, so long as you make yourself angrier than anyone else could, then you'll be above my influence.
The dragoness loses her footing and fades as she falls.
Goodbye, Otohime. Hope you get your revenge.
A loud, pompous laugh rips through Fea's domain. A crater forms at the spot Otohime would have fallen. Fea feels a weight in her stomach and scowls down into the bowl-shaped opening. There's Gilgamesh, looking even more proud of himself than usual. He holds Otohime bridal style and grins at her as though awaiting praise.
Gilgamesh!
Otohime says, blinking as her form stabilizes.
Was this not the best moment to share my divinity with you?
Gilgamesh asks, and Fea notices the gold aura leaving his fingers and entering Otohime. Damn it, the worst part about a demigod is that they're harder to sense, especially when Fea's preoccupied. Normally she'd sense jiggles, but it doesn't look or feel like she's with him. Well, shit. Now Otohime's got more than enough divinity to keep herself anchored to this domain. Time to come up with a plan G. At least Fea was able to stop the rain.
Otohime! I felt my brain stop and...
Fea turns and sees the little samurai boy she fought the other day, along with his pet fox girl. The two of them had emerged from the shack Otohime went out of her way protecting earlier. Fea had sensed them, but figured that neither of them would want to risk another takeover. Yeah, given the way they both freeze up at the sight of her, means they aren't going to do much. Fea feels anger building in the boy. This is awesome. Fea didn't even have to say anything. Looking at her was enough to stoke his rage. A gust of wind blasts by Fea, almost knocking her over. To stop herself from flying back, she stabs her talons into the ground. The samurai was gone. When Fea looks over her shoulder, she finds him glaring down at Gilgamesh.
I'll take it from here,
says the samurai as he pulls Otohime out of Gilgamesh's grip.
Okay.
Susanoo, what are you doing out of bed?
I felt you were in trouble, so I did what I do best. Rush to your aid.
Otohime,
Shouts the fox as she scurries over to her comrades.
I tried to stop him, I really did. But seeing Suskun wear such a manly expression turned my legs to udon and I became a total pushover. Please don't hate me.
Why are you like this?
Otohime pets the fox. She steps out of the samurai's arms. She stares at the ground.
Not a single one of you obeyed my orders. Do you not see me fit to rule?
Over me? Of course not. Do not mistake my actions, however. I mean you no disrespect. I am the greatest king to have ever ruled, but you seem to be the next best thing. I don't want to risk Midgard losing another great ruler to the Morrigan.
But I told you.
Gilgamesh hushes Otohime with a wave of his finger.
No worries. I left Surtur in charge of the yokai and the kami. She ran them up while I fought off Morrigan's noodly beast.
Fea grits her teeth. What did this douche do to FSM?
I'm not a savage like Morrigan. It's beneath me to harm an animal, so he'll be limping home soon. However, I doubt you'll be in any condition to greet him.
How's about you save the gloating until after we've defeated her?
Says the samurai as he steps in front of Gilgamesh, blocking his way to Otohime. He draws one of his swords. It's dull and blunt compared to the one he'd fought Fea with last time. A haggard breath leaks from the boy. The fox grabs onto his shoulders and aids in steadying his footing.
Suskun, are you sure about this? You're still hurt. Maybe we should leave this to Otohime and Gilgamesh-san.
You don't understand me at all, Maya-chan. What kind of man would I be if I didn't protect the woman I love?
Red overtakes Mai's already rosy cheeks.
Suskun, do you really mean that?
The fox squeaks as she embraces the samurai from behind.
I knew you cared.
Every day with this. Could you not reopen my wounds? Thanks.
Otohime clears her throat. There was a bit of red to her cheeks as well now. They smile at one another, and he nods. Then the whole lot of them narrow their gaze on Fea.
We got a game plan? I'd rather not go into a psychotic blood rage today.
Same.
That's right. Fea's up against more than one target. While most would hate being outnumbered, Fea feels that her chances are better the more she's up against. Building anger in someone and sending them into a rage is easy enough, but she hasn't quite found out how to control their anger. Sure, she could make Otohime act crazy, but that's not very useful if her eyes were on Fea. But now that Otohime is surrounded by comrades, she could just send them all into a fury and sit back while they rip one another apart. Feathers shake at Fea's collar as her lips peel back for a sneer. She's won.
I know this won't mean much coming from me, but I want everyone to stay calm.
What?
What?
Fea asks, crunching her nose.
I've had Morrigan in my head before. I understand how it feels.
Gilgamesh eyes the fox.
It sounds like you have too. She takes something from deep down and brings it to the surface. It can be anything, from fears to regrets to sadness.
Oh, jealousy.
Yeah, any of those can be twisted into anger.
So be emotionless?
Still, like water.
They all look at him, as does Fea. Chances are he thought that sounded better in his head.
That's a cute idea, Your Highness.
Sue says, closing his eyes. A sigh passes his lips, and the unmoving rain returns to life.
Thank you.
But just in case, I'll offer an alternative.
The samurai aims his sword to the sky.
I can see through each drop of rain, and I'll extend that to Otohime. Then she'll extend it to Maya-chan. It won't matter where you hide, Shid-chan. So long as my rain is there, we'll know where you are. If we lose control, we don't know what we'll do to find you. I don't know if the domain will stand for a harsher storm than this.
It's brief, but the samurai and Fea exchange a look before he looks up at Otohime.
This isn't just about taking Leothile anymore, is it?
You're right. Stripping a Morrigan of a power source was the aim, but at this point, it might be best, in the long run, to kill her now.
Can you?
We'll see. Any reservations I have will be culled by her powers, won't they?
We've wasted enough words on this wretch.
Gilgamesh clenches his fists and roars in Fea's direction. Pushing off his back foot, Gilgamesh jumps up from the crater he'd made and rockets towards Fea. Black feathers sharpen at Fea's collar, and she plucks several that become daggers. She's beaten him before, and this won't be any different. Gilgamesh is over her, falling at her position. He rears his fist back. The air breaks around him as he plummets like a meteor. Otohime, Zeus, and Mai all hop out of the crater and go on the offensive in their own ways. Capitalizing on Gilgamesh's attack, Zeus slashes at Fea with several wind blasts. Otohime waves her arm, commanding the rain to become bullets that would only harm Fea. Little fireballs form in Mai's paws, and after a spin, she tosses them at Fea. The flames don't make it far and fizzle out in the rain. The remaining attacks all converge on Fea at once. Overhead is a bronze fist, to her right are 3, maybe 4 sharpened gusts of wind, and all around her is bullet rain. Break into feathers, cut up Gilgamesh, reform on Zeus's position, press him and take advantage of his physical injuries, grapple him and use him as a hostage, force Otohime and Mai to concede. That's the plan. Fea's feathers peel away, flesh and hair becoming a blur of black. Just as Gilgamesh would hit her, and just as she would fade away, something strikes the king. A large, dull sound explodes from the point of impact. There's an invisible explosion that not only disrupts Otohime's water and kills Zeus's wind, it sends Fea's feathered form scattering about. Not even a second after the unseen force struck, a second, quieter boom reverberates through the domain. The feathers are slow to return together, but that's intentional. Fea reforms and sees a large line of debris and ripped apart earth leading straight to a laid-out, groaning Gilgamesh. Fea follows the path back to the point of impact.
What?
Angry, annoyed, unimpressed, ungrateful. Just some words that sum up how Fea feels when she sees another pair of demis in her domain, both with pink hair, both with muscles, and both smelling like a Fomorian's old tavern. Herc lowers his fist, looks at it, then to the mess he'd made of Fea's domain.
That's it? That blue-haired chick said these were the coordinates, right?
His friend, Achilles, holds his thumb up to the sky, as though that'd tell him anything.
We're here down to the very last second. She said, show up and punch the biggest guy there, and you'll finally get the challenges you seek.
Yeah, that's what I thought she said. But right now I'm feeling kind of bad for the guy.
Herc glares at the trembling Babylonian king.
Maybe this was an elaborate prank?
Not funny, Achilles. She specifically told me it'd be someone who could take a punch from me. I don't get that too often. What if I killed this guy?
What if indeed?
You're the worst.
They both see Fea. They wave, so she flips them off.
Oh hey, it's Red! Hey Red, how are you? Miss me?
Achilles starts over, but Herc steps on his cape, stopping him.
Wrong one. Does it matter? You don't even care.
Athena didn't say anything about this one, right?
No, but don't you think she's a bit young?
She's feistier than the other one anyway. I like him feisty.
What if the archangels find out?
Another loud, dull sound erupts, this time on account of Gilgamesh decking Herc and sending him crashing into Achilles. Both Olympians fly into a nearby shack, leveling it.
Ugh, you lowly cur! How dare you attack King Gilgamesh in such an underhanded way?
What's going on?
Zeus asks, taking a place next to Otohime.
Reinforcements? I didn't think she had allies.
They look to Fea,
Huh?
so she shrugs.
We're not here for her.
Herc says, climbing from the debris.
We're here because we were promised a good fight.
Herc runs a thumb over his cheek. There's a glint in his eye when he sees the ichor on his fingers.
You punch good.
Herc says, springing over to Gilgamesh's position. He offers his hand.
Name's Herc. I like a guy with a good punch. How's about another?
Herc, as in Heracles.
It's just Herc, pal.
Heracles,
Herc.
son of Zeus!
Herc. Call me Herc.
What's going on?
Looks like a meathead mating ritual to me.
Hello, another redhead.
Achilles says, already on Mai's position.
A redhead and a fox. Forget about the Green Isle. This place is more like the Red Isle. I should come to Ireland more often. You think the phrase man's best friend applies to a fox?
Otohime,
Mai backs away.
help!
Susanoo, would you say these boys look older than us?
Otohime forms her sword from the falling rain.
Yeah, they look about Gilgamesh's age.
Kill them.
Killing them.
A blue aura overtakes Zeus. He closes his eyes, and Fea can feel more clouds plume into existence. She grits her teeth as the downpour grows harsher. Massive winds join the mix, making it hard for her to remain grounded without the use of her talons. A sharp pain rips through her shoulder, back, neck, and top of her head. The armored cloak was no longer enough, as the rain bullets were even sharper and denser than before. They pierce her with no problem. The downfall is so steady that it brings her to her knees. She feels wounds opening and closing at constant rate all over. She tries to pull herself forward, but can't. She tries to break down into feathers, but can't. The pressure is just too much. Through the rain, she can see Herc, throwing that pelt over his head. It glows like polished gold as it protects Herc from the rain. Likewise, Achilles continues his advances on Mai, rain bouncing off his broad shoulders. A crackle, followed by a hissing pop. Rain parts around her, no longer a steady stream of knives, but a slow flood that she can maneuver around. Through her domain, she feels it, something surrounding the clouds, suffocating them and limiting the rainfall.
Who?
Zeus asks, looking around. A gust, much like Zeus's, blows by Fea, and a new figure stands before her. The barrage of bullets distracted her, and she must have missed his presence. Smelling of trees, grass, and mud, his indigo cape sways at his shoulders, turquoise hair wet with rain, and an unwarranted look of superiority plastered across his face. Perun stands over Fea, shielding her from the enemies. Why?
Why?
Fea asks, confused at how not only Herc and Achilles knew to come, but Perun as well.
I'm seeing you again.
Perun says, looking over his shoulder at Fea.
I'm stating that I'm seeing you again, but it isn't good to see you again. Just that I am. Understand?
Uh-huh. Thanks for breaking up those clouds, but you can leave now. All of you can leave now.
Can't do that. Someone asked me to help you, so that's what I'm going to do.
Someone asked you to help me?
Fea can't believe what she's hearing. Rather than say anything else, Perun just throws up his cape, and Fea's eyes widen when she sees what, or rather, who, is strapped to his back.
Fea!
Anna says as she unties herself from Perun and lunges at Fea.
Annie?
Fea catches Anna, and they both fall to the ground.
Oh, ouch, ouch, I'm sorry.
Anna says, sitting up.
Are you okay?
No?
Fea says, rising. They stare at one another, a wide grin on Anna's face, and Fea feels her cheeks lifting as well. Damn it, no, she can't. Not here. She shouldn't feel anything but regret here. Fea doesn't deserve to be happy, but the sight of Anna makes her feel
You're an idiot!
like an idiot. Like an idiot?
No, you are.
Well, you're an idiot for charging right back here before giving yourself proper time to heal.
Anna says before motioning to Perun.
Besides, I brought backup.
Privet.
Perun says, waving.
Him? Could he have brought anyone useful? Like Truth or whatever?
I asked her.
Shaking her head, Anna continues.
She said...
Anna pauses, clears her throat, and when she speaks up again, it's in a voice that Fea assumes is supposed to be an impression of Truth.
Most paths for Fea lead to bad stuff. My dad was Midgard's protector, and Fea is like the opposite of that.
Anna coughs, and Fea simply stares.
So yeah, I don't think she's coming.
Wait, you actually talked to Truth?
Fea asks, dusting herself off.
Why him, though?
Fea motions to Perun.
Shango has to protect village. Oya is our best healer, and Aja isn't fighter.
So, in other words, you're the expendable one.
I didn't say that. When did I say that?
You're adopted.
Fea, be nice.
Anna says, getting in front of her.
He's here to help. You want to keep this domain, right?
Fea tries looking away from Anna, but Anna just skips around her, getting back into her line of sight. She pouts and leans in, and Fea can't help but give in.
Fine. Just wait until we get rid of Otohime. Then he's either gonna swear fealty to me, or get the hell out of here.
Fea looks up at Perun.
Got it, pal?
Pal. Niet, young lady. We're not friends.
Perun holds out his hands. Electricity builds in one, while flames grow in the other.
But I will fight.
Looks like Anna's here, so I've got even more of a reason to throw hands than before.
Herc says, narrowing his eyes at Gilgamesh.
Harm a hair on that girl's head and I'll crush you.
I don't plan on leaving until I've at least gotten the name of this cutie pie.
Achilles says, eyes on Mai. Mai yelps as she runs from Achilles, who sprints after her.
Come back here, Foxy baby. Come on, babe, let me just grab a tail and yank you over here.
Suskun, help.
Kinda busy, Mai-chan. This guy's storm control ain't too shabby. Gotta focus if I'm gonna get the rain going again.
Ha! You like? I've learned from best.
Annie, stay back.
Fea says, stepping in front of Anna.
Don't get in the mix of things once feathers start flying. I came here to help too. Annie, I appreciate this, really.
Fea wanted to gag.
But I can't let people get hurt because of me, especially not over this place. This is like...
You're cross to bear? Yeah, I'm kinda used to people being stubborn about this kind of stuff. But I'm Morrigan too. So if I can't convince you, then I don't think you're gonna convince me.
Bear, at least stay out of my way and try not to die.
Seuss looks to Otohime, a worried look about the boy's porcelain face. Her hard features almost shatter, but Otohime keeps her gaze square on Fea. Not a word wasted, she charges forward. Seuss, sighing, follows suit. As the dragoness closes in, Fea sharpens her feathers. She plucks one and hands it to Anna, hoping she'll be able to protect herself at least a little. Now, with only inches between them, Fea readies a feather dagger before herself. She won't let Phallius fall. Not again. Even after all that's happened and all the divinities she's used, Fea can still feel and see everything in her domain. As the battles rage on throughout her land, she feels her energy grow, empowered by the surrounding strife. Could this have been Anna's plan? It seems too calculated to have been a coincidence. By bringing others, by forcing the fight to segment like this, it would serve to anger Otohime, because she could no longer focus on only Fea. It split her forces as well, effectively allowing Fea to turn things around. Fea lost last time because she didn't have allies. She felt firsthand how deities working together could get results. Now it's her turn to reap the benefits. Damn it, she can't believe she's gonna have to thank Anna for all this later. Seuss hops back, avoiding a series of stalagmites that shot out of the ground. He keeps his dull blade positioned before himself, and whenever he gets a second to breathe, he returns to focusing on the storm. Fea can tell because during these breaks, the clouds grow and the rain returns. It's never for long, but Otohime uses those moments and consolidates that rain all on Fea's position. These brief windows of rainfall don't last, as Perun disrupts Seuss with more stalagmites or bursts of wind. Said gusts are broken up by a swing of Seuss's blade, so his footing is never thrown off too much. Propelled by his own winds, Perun flies at Seuss. Seuss rolls back to avoid a tackle and slashes at Perun's back. Perun spins, thrusts out his palm, and cushions the attack with a burst of flames. They skid away from one another.
You are a very good little samurai boy. I would like to fight you someday when you're not injured.
A sphere of protective wind surrounds Perun.
You say that like you're holding back.
Seuss says, swinging his sword upwards. Several bolts of lightning rip through the clouds and cleave through Perun's spear, putting him on his knees.
Of course.
Perun says, holding out his hand. Lightning comes together and slams down into his palm. The discharge changes shape, looking more like an axe than a bundle of bolts. A large smile spreads over Perun's square face.
What else would it mean?
Whoa! Is that Mjolnir?
Seuss's eyes go wide.
What? Yet. This is my axe. Axe of Perun.
What's it called?
Axe of Perun.
Perun waves the surging weapon about.
Who's Perun?
Me.
Pointing with his sword, Seuss asks.
You aren't Thor?
Pointing his axe, Perun yells.
What? Niet. Perun. Perun.
Bummer!
Seuss says, slashing wind blasts at Perun. Perun destroys a good deal of them with his axe, but any that get by end up leaving deep cuts.
Thought I was beating up Thor.
At last we meet. Heracles.
It's hard to ignore Gilgamesh's booming voice, so Feya's attention shifts to him.
Hercules, or Herc, thanks.
Herc clarifies.
Hercules is fine, but never Heracles.
It's fitting that two titans of legend like us would come to clash this way, over differing ideals and what it truly means to be a ruler.
Just here for a good fight, man.
Ha! Once the sparks of our battle reverberate throughout the 9 realms, all will regret the day they dared call either of us demis.
Nobody calls me a demi. At least not to my face.
Herc lowers his fists.
We will reclaim that which history has taken from us. I will return to the top end.
Wait, do they call you a demi? Like, to your face? It's rough.
All will once again fall before the mighty name of Midgard's greatest king, Gilgamesh!
I'm sorry.
Herc approaches Gilgamesh.
Those guys are racist, man. Don't listen to them.
Silence!
Gilgamesh shouts and swings at Herc.
Brandish blades with me.
Herc catches Gilgamesh's fist. The force of the impact kicks up dust around them.
I didn't bring a sword.
It's a figure of speech.
Gilgamesh roars as he headbutts Herc.
Ugh.
The headbutt, like the punch before it, has little effect on Herc. Gilgamesh frowns as he attempts several more attacks. Each punch he throws is dulled in Herc's palm, and even those that connect with his face or body are shrugged off. The nearby area takes more damage than Herc, as the shockwaves from the massive attacks shake the earth beneath them.
Come on, get serious, would ya?
Herc says, rushing behind Gilgamesh and getting him in a chokehold. Hard knuckles clip Herc's chin again and again, all attempts to break the expert hold he has Gilgamesh in. When that proves ineffective, Gilgamesh throws his head back, and while it does knock Herc's forehead, it doesn't shake his grip. Gilgamesh steps back, hooks his leg behind one of Herc's, locks it, then spins. Pivoting on his knee, he's able to swing out of Herc's hold.
You wrestle?
Herc asks, eyes on Gilgamesh. But Gilgamesh doesn't get to answer as Herc rushes up, wraps his arms around Gilgamesh's midsection, turns and suplexes him through the ground.
Busting out the suplex already!
Achilles shouts, watching his friend while cornering Mai.
I thought you were worried about killing this guy!
The fox seems to take advantage of the distracted Achilles and jumps at him. She attempts to bite his shoulder, no doubt to administer her poison. No dice. She hops back a second later with a confused look on her face. Probably realized she couldn't pierce his flesh with her teeth.
You're kinkier than you look.
Achilles cups her cheek with one hand and raises her chin with another.
Here I thought we'd start with a kiss.
Mai pushes him away.
As if. You do know we're enemies, right? You'd barely have a chance if we were on the same side.
Good point.
Achilles nods as he runs off after Herc. As he closes in on his friend, he draws the spear tied to his back. Achilles lands a punch on Herc while he's grappling with Gilgamesh. Then, before Herc can react, Achilles stabs him in the side with the spear.
Dude! What are you doing?
Herc shouts and coughs up ichor at the same time.
Trying to get laid!
Achilles answers, dislodging his spear, then spinning it to trip Herc.
No hard feelings. Just be a bro and go to sleep for a while.
Achilles tries stabbing the downed Herc with the spear, but he catches it by the shaft. He pulls Achilles in, grabs his shoulders, then uses him to bash away Gilgamesh. One moron uses another idiot as a bludgeon against a doofus. Amazing. Otohime's voice echoes around Feya, bouncing between the rain that falls from the dimmed sky.
Focus!
Raindrops glow and explode, but Feya is so much faster than she was a moment ago. Egged on by the tension of the nearby fights, Feya is able to dance around the detonating dew with ease. She emerges from a cloud of mist, unharmed and grinning at her opponent. Otohime is there to greet her, sword raised. The two girls cross blades and stare one another down.
So, when are you giving up? Or are you committed to wasting both of our time?
Killing you is anything but a waste. Midgard will thank me. There won't be any deity that won't jump at the chance to ally themselves with the one who defeated Morgan.
Yep,
Feya says, hopping over Otohime.
you're definitely the bad guy.
Otohime stomps her sharp heel into the ground. The milky white flesh of her leg fades into a translucent blue as the limb takes on the form of water. A geyser blasts up from beneath Feya, but she dodges. Another geyser springs up a second later, and Feya again dodges. Her heightened reaction speed made dancing around all of Otohime's precise attacks all the easier. The more Feya avoids Otohime, the more aggravated the dragoness becomes, the faster Feya gets. It's a twisted loop, but it benefits Fea, so she doesn't care if it seems like cheating. Otohime's nose scrunches up and her grip tightens around the sword. What now? What will the Otohime do? A loud grunt gets Otohime's attention. Fea's eyes follow a second later. On any other day, she wouldn't care about Perun falling to his knees, but today, he's her ally. The thought alone sends a shiver up Fea's spine. So Perun hits the ground, panting and clutching his knee as he tries to stand. The samurai, Seuss, floats overhead, suspended in the air by a steady circulation of air and water. He lowers his blade and grins at Perun.
It was a fine fight, not Thor.
Seuss says, and Perun grimaces.
I'm Perun.
Perun's axe flickers.
You'd have more divinity to throw around if you were more well known.
Seuss holds up his sword.
Don't worry. I like you, Perun-san. So I won't be forgetting you anytime soon.
And the rain resumes. Spinning on her back foot, Fea whips a feather to Anna. Dumb as the girl may be, she manages to catch the feather. All it takes is a thought and a breath, and that feather expands in Anna's hand, becoming an umbrella to shield her from the sharp rain. Fea's own feathers shift and reform her cloak, protecting her. Might as well see what's happening with the dimwits. When Fea checks in on them, she finds Herc standing over Gilgamesh and tossing an unconscious Achilles aside.
Hey, Anna! Let's go!
Gilgamesh hops up, grapples Herc from behind, and snags Herc's pelt before he can pull it over himself. This leaves the Olympian open for a bombardment of bullet rain that slicks right over Gilgamesh's skin. While Fea knows Herc would normally overpower Gilgamesh, the downpour puts the hero at a disadvantage and leaves him struggling in the king's grasp. Well, damn it. Whatever. Who cares that her comrades lost? She wasn't depending on them anyway. The only person Fea can count on is herself.
Again with the rain.
Fea flips Otohime off.
Don't you got anything else?
Hey, is that really a smart idea?
Anna says, stepping in at Fea's side.
You're right. I can't keep relying on these same tactics. The key to winning a war is understanding how ruthless your opponent is, and then outdoing them.
When the hell did you become so damn evil?
While my aim was to take this domain,
Otohime whispers as the rain surrounds only her.
destroying it will be just as satisfying.
Droplets become bubbles and overtake Otohime's form. A concerned look graces Seuss's face, while a confused one comes to Mai's. That watery mass that was Otohime grows in size, doubling, tripling, quadrupling. Before Fea knows it, she's looking up at a construct of water, leaves, and debris. The cloud giant takes on a shape, a form that Fea hadn't ever seen in person, but heard about plenty in her grandfather's stories. Fangs the size of buildings, scales as long as fences, and horns so dense-looking Fea doubts she could crack them with all her might. The creature before her is no princess, no queen, no conqueror. It's
A dragon.
Anna says, finishing Fea's thoughts. Fea feels her feathers recede.
What are we gonna do now?
How the hell am I supposed to know? That's a fucking dragon.